Hi, welcome to Basic Electrical Engineering online classes. Uh, Today we'll start the third module, that is the transformers. But before discussing about the transformer, we have to discuss about the magnetic materials, because for transformers and other electrical machines, the magnetic material is a very important part. So let's start the magnetic material topic. The first is, what is magnet? The magnet is a metal or object that produce a magnetic field. This magnetic field is invisible, but it is responsible for the property of a magnet, that is, a force that pull on other ferromagnetic materials such as iron and attract or repel the other magnets. We all familiar with the magnets, and we know that the magnet has the property to attract some ferromagnetic materials, for example, iron. Similarly, if we use two magnets, then we can see that if there is the opposite pole, then there will be the attractive force, and if there is the same pole, then there will be the repulsive force between the poles of the magnet. Here it is shown as a use a magnet where S and N are the poles of the magnet, and we know that the magnetic field is basically developed between the poles of the magnet. This is another example of the magnet. It is considered as a bar magnet. There are a number of elements that are attracted by the magnet, which is commonly referred as the magnetic materials. These are the same materials that can be magnetized to create the permanent magnet also. So remember one thing, the magnetic material are the material which is basically considered as the ferromagnetic material. And this material has the characteristics to be the permanent magnet. It can be converted to a permanent magnet, or if we use some magnet near to the magnetic material, then it will be attracted. The magnetic materials play a prominent role in modern technology. The operation of the electrical machines and devices like motors, generators, transformers, measuring instruments are depends on the magnetic field. Later, we will discuss about the operating principle of each and every element, that means the motor, generator, transformer. There we will see that the operating principle of these devices and machines depends upon the magnetic field. Now, what is magnetism? Most people are familiar with the general properties of the magnet, but are less familiar with the source of magnetism. The traditional concept of the magnetism centers around the magnetic field and what is known as the dipole. The term magnetic field simply describes a volume of the space where there is a change in energy within the volume. Here in this figure, we can see that if we use a magnet, and if there are the dust of the ferromagnetic materials, for example, iron, then this ferromagnetic material dust will be attracted towards the pole of the magnet. We can see that there is a particular region within which this property of the magnet is sensed, and this region is considered as the magnetic field. So in other words, we can consider the magnetic field is the area surrounding a magnet where the property of the magnetism can be accessed. The location where a magnetic field can be detected exiting or entering a material is called a magnetic pole. The magnetic poles have never been detected in isolation, but always occurs in pairs. Hence, the name dipole comes. Therefore, a dipole is an object that has a magnetic pole on one end and a second, equal but opposite, magnetic pole on the other. That means in this figure we can see that this is, let's say this is the north pole of the magnet. So definitely it will be the south pole of the magnet. Remember one thing, the magnet cannot be used as a single pole. There should be always two poles of a magnet. And this is also considered as a dipole. Here in the bar magnet, we can see that one side is the north pole, another side is the south pole, and there is a field created surrounding the magnet where the property of the magnetism can be accessed, and this surrounding medium is considered as the magnetic field of the magnet. A bar magnet can be considered as a dipole with a north pole at one end and south pole at the other end. Just like here we have used a bar magnet. So the bar magnet is also considered as a dipole. And remember one thing, the dipole itself is a magnet with two different poles. That means one north pole and one south pole. A magnetic field can be measured leaving the dipole at the north pole and returning the magnet at the south pole. That means the magnetic field line basically considered, it is started from the north pole, it is started to flow from the north pole, and it will end in the south pole. So this is the concept of the magnetic field. If a magnet is cut into two pieces, then two magnets or dipoles are created out of one. That means if this uh, bar magnet is divided into two parts, then the separate each part will be also behave like a magnet. That means if this bar magnet is divided into two parts from here, then it will become a magnet where a south pole will be created in this side, and similarly for the second part, a north pole will be created here. That means they will become a separate magnet. This sectioning and creation of dipoles can continue to the atomic level. That means if we divide the material again and again, then we'll get number of material that will also will be treated like a single magnet, and this can be continued up to the atomic level. Therefore, the source of the magnetism lies in the basic building block of the matter, and that is called the atom. That means up to the atomic level, we can create the dipole. Now, the source of magnetism. All matter is composed of atoms that we know, and atoms are basically composed of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Where protons and neutrons are located in the atom's nucleus, and electrons are in the constant motion around the nucleus. Electron basically carries the negative electrical charge and produce a magnetic field as they move through the space. The magnetic field is basically produced whenever an electrical charge is in the motion. The strength of this field is called the magnetic moment. So from this we can understand what is the source of magnetism. Basically we know that in the atom there are nucleus and there are the electrons. In the nucleus we have protons and neutrons, and electrons basically rotate around the nucleus. Electron is considered as a negatively charged particle, and if a charged particle is in motion, then it will create a magnetic field. So basically the magnetism comes from this. that is the motion of the charged particle, basically motion of the electron. So here in this diagram, this is the nucleus and a electron is around surrounding the nucleus. So as the electron is moving, then a magnetic field will be produced in this area. This may be hard to visualize on a subatomic scale, but consider the electrical current flowing through a conductor. So when the electrons, that is the electrical current, are flowing through a conductor, a magnetic field forms around the conductor. That means, let's say this is the conducting material. Let's say here it is the conducting material and current is flowing to this conductor. As we know that the current means the rate of flow of charges. That means there is a motion of the charged particles. And as the charged particle moves through this conductor, then a magnetic field will be produced around this conducting material. So in this figure, it can be clearly visualized. This is the electron, and if the electron is moving in anti-clockwise direction, then the magnetic field that will be created, here it will be the south pole and here it will be the north pole. But if the electron is moving in the clockwise direction, then its polarity will be reversed. So basically the magnetism, the property of the magnetism comes because of the flow of or the motion of the electrons. Since all matter is composed of the atoms, all materials are affected in some way by the magnetic field. However, not all materials react the same way because of their atomic structure, because of their uh, number of electrons, number of free electrons, their behavior will be different. Now, what is the use of magnetic materials? Magnetic materials are basically used in almost all the field of applications. Nowadays, it is very important for advancements of the industrial as well as the scientific growth. For example, the generation of electrical power, transmission, as well as the distribution of the electrical power is based on the magnetism. The analog and digital data storage that we have used in our daily lives, it is also depends upon the magnetic materials. There are various electronic appliances that we use nowadays. There are also the magnetic materials are used. The sensors and the actuators, the MRI machines, other medical appliances, these all applications are basically based on the magnetic property of the material. Now the classification of the magnetic materials. When a material is placed within a magnetic field, the magnetic force of the material electron will be affected. This effect is known as Faraday's law of magnetic induction. That means if any material is placed within a magnetic field, then the electrons within the material will be affected by this magnetic force. And this effect can be described by using the Faraday law of magnetic induction that we will discuss later. However, material can react quite differently to the presence of an external magnetic field. This reaction is basically depends on a number of factors such as the atomic and the molecular structure of the material, the net magnetic field associated with the atom, and so on. The magnetic moment associated with atoms have three origins, that is the electrical electron's motion, the change in motion caused by the external magnetic field, and the speed of the electrons. As we have already discussed, the magnetism basically creates because of the motion of the electron particles. So the magnetic moment depends upon three factors. First is the motion of the electron. Second is the change in motion caused by the external magnetic field. Because if we place any material within a magnetic field, then the motion of the electrons within the material will be affected. And third is the spin of the electrons. Electron itself rotates on its axis. This is called the spin of the electron. And the property of the magnetism also depends upon this. In most atoms, electrons basically occurs in pairs. Electrons in a pair spin in opposite direction to each other. So it causes their magnetic field to cancel each other. Therefore, no net magnetic field basically exists. That's why we can see that most of the materials behave like a non-magnet, because within the materials there are the electrons which are in pairs, and when the electrons are in pairs, then their motions are opposite to each other. Therefore, the magnetic field that will be produced by spin of each electron will cancel each other, because if their motion is in the reverse direction, then the magnetic field that will be produced will also be in the reverse direction. So the net magnetic field will be as zero. Alternately, the material with some unpaired electrons will have a net magnetic field and will react more to the external field. Some of the materials which is basically have the property of the magnetism that can be easily magnetized or that can be affected by the magnetic field, they have unpaired electrons within it. So if we apply some external magnetic field, then this material can easily be reacted. So depending upon their reaction to the external magnetic field, the materials are classified basically in three types. First is called the diamagnetic material, second is called the paramagnetic material, and third is called the ferromagnetic material. So let's discuss one by one. First is the diamagnetic material. This material have a weak negative susceptibility to the magnetic field. They are slightly repelled by a magnetic field, and the material does not retain the magnetic properties when the external field is removed. Let's see this figure. So these are the molecules within the material. Generally, they show no magnetic property. But when some magnetic field is applied, some external magnetic field is applied near this material, then the molecules of the material will be arranged in a symmetrical order. This is because of the external magnetic field. And due to this external magnetic field, this material will behave like a magnet. But remember one thing, the strength of the magnet of a diamagnetic material is very weak. Once the external force is withdrawn, that means the external magnetic field is removed, then the material will again converted to its initial position. That means again it will be demagnetized. So basically it is considered as a very weak magnet, almost negligible. Here all the electrons are paired, so there is no permanent net magnetic moment per atom. So in diamagnetic materials, in the atoms, the electrons are always in pairs. So the net magnetic moment per atom is always zero. But if we apply some external magnetic field, then it will behave like a magnet for the time being. But once the external magnetic field is withdrawn, again the material will convert it to its initial position. The diamagnetic properties arise from realignment of the electron path under the influence of the external magnetic field. That we have already discussed. If the external magnetic field is applied, then the electron paths are realigned. Therefore, temporarily this material will behave like a magnet. The most element in the periodic table, including the copper, silver, and gold, are the diametric material. So generally, we can see that this material does not show the magnetic property. But if we apply a very strong magnetic field, then this material will behave like a magnet, but with a very weak property of the magnetism. The next type of the material is called the paramagnetic materials. The paramagnetic materials have a small positive susceptibility to the magnetic field. These materials are slightly attracted by a magnetic field, like this. In normal cases, the electrons within the material may or may not be in a systematic arrangement order so that they can produce very small amount of magnetic field. But once the external magnetic field is applied, then these free electrons will arranged in a symmetrical order. Their motions will be such that they will be created, they will be converted to a magnet. But once the external magnetic field is withdrawn, then again the motion of the electrons will be converted to its initial position. That means the again the property of the material is they are showing very small amount of magnetism because of the external magnetic field. Unlike ferromagnetic materials, they do not maintain their magnetic properties once the external magnetic field is removed. Later we'll discuss about the ferromagnetic materials. There we can show that if the external magnetic field is removed, then also the ferromagnetic material retain their magnetic properties. But the paramagnetic material cannot. That means once the external magnetic field is withdrawn, they will not retain any magnetic property within it. The paramagnetic properties are due to the presence of some unpaired electrons and from the realignment of the electron path caused by the external magnetic field. That means in case of paramagnetic material, there are some unpaired electrons, and because of these unpaired electrons, this material will show very small amount of magnetic property. But once the external magnetic field is applied, then the electrons will be realigned and it will show the property of the magnetism. But again, when the external magnetic field is withdrawn, the electrons will again go their initial position. Most elements are basically paramagnetic. However, their attractive force is many thousands of times weaker than the ferromagnetic materials. They are also generally considered as the non-magnetic. So almost all materials are considered as the paramagnetic, but their strength of the magnetism is much weaker than the ferromagnetic materials. That's why they are also considered as the non-magnetic. The paramagnetic materials have uh, includes the magnesium, lithium, liquid oxygen, sodium, platinum, salt of iron. These are some examples of the paramagnetic materials. Next is the ferromagnetic material. The ferromagnetic materials have a very large positive susceptibility to an external magnetic field. That means this type of materials are easily converted to a magnet and they are very strong magnetic field because of the external magnetic field. They exhibit a strong attraction to the magnetic field and are able to retain their magnetic properties after the external field has been removed. That means once the external magnetic field is withdrawn, then also this type of material will retain their magnetic properties. The ferromagnetic materials have some unpaired electrons, so their atoms have a net magnetic moment. That means this material have always some unpaired electrons, so they have always a tendency for the magnetism. They get their strong magnetic properties due to the presence of the magnetic domain. In this domain, large number of atoms moment, that is 10 to the power 12 to 10 to the power 15, are aligned parallel so that the magnetic force within the domain is strong. That means there are number of domains within the material and these domains will show the magnetic force and then the overall magnetic property of this material will be very strong. When a ferromagnetic material is in unmagnetized state, the domains are nearly randomly organized and the net magnetic field of the part as a whole is zero. So basically, when the materials are there is no external magnetic field, then the domain within the materials are in a random order. So overall net magnetic field is considered as a zero. But when a magnetizing force is applied, the domains become aligned and to produce a strong magnetic field within the part. That means because of the external magnetic field, the domains of the material can be easily aligned in a particular order so that they can produce a very strong magnetic field. So this is the concept of the ferromagnetic material in the molecular structure. Number of free electrons are always in a particular order, but once the magnetic field is applied, then this material will be arranged in a symmetrical order and it will produce a very high magnetic field property. But once the external magnetic field is withdrawn, then also some amount of electrons will be arranged in a symmetrical order. That can be shown here. That means this type of material can retain the magnetic property after withdrawing the external magnetic field. The examples are iron, nickel, cobalt, and their alloys. These are very good ferromagnetic materials and that can be easily magnetized. Now, what is the magnetic domain? The ferromagnetic materials get their magnetic properties not only because their atoms carry a magnetic moment, but also because the material is made up of small regions known as the magnetic domain. In each domain, all of the atomic dipoles are coupled together in a particular direction. The ferromagnetic materials are said to be characterized by spontaneous magnetization since they obtain the saturation magnetization in each of the domains without an external magnetic field being applied. Even though the domains are magnetically saturated, the bulk material may not show any sign of magnetism because these domains are randomly oriented relative to each other. The ferromagnetic material becomes magnetized when the magnetic domains within the materials are aligned. This can be done by placing the material in a strong external magnetic field or by passing the electrical current through the material. Here, some or all of the domains can become aligned, so the material will become magnetized. So here we can see normally the domain is we can consider it as a small packet of materials. Within the material there are small domains. There are number of atoms within the domain. Now in a domain all the electrons are arranged in a symmetrical order. So the individual domain is always considered as a magnet. But generally during unmagnetized condition, these domains are randomly arranged. That is shown here. These are the domains that are randomly arranged. So the overall magnetic property will be zero. But when we apply some strong magnetic field or if we pass the electrical current through the material, then all the domains will be arranged in a symmetrical order. All the domains will be arranged and it will be aligned in a particular order. So the material will become totally magnetized. Because the molecules within the domain, the atoms within the domain itself is magnetized, and if we arrange the domains in a symmetrical order, then this material can be converted to a magnet. The domains, more the domains are aligned, stronger the magnetic field in the material will be produced. When all the domains are aligned, then the material will be considered as magnetically saturated. Here we can see that there are number of domains. If we arrange some of these domains, then it will produce a very small amount of magnetic property. But if we apply more external force and if we arrange all the domains in a symmetrical order, just like here, then this material will become totally magnetized. That means it will be saturated. When the material is magnetically saturated, no additional amount of external magnetization force will cause an increase in its internal level of magnetization. Once the material becomes fully saturated in terms of magnetism, then it cannot be possible to produce more magnetic property within this material. Now there is another term that is called the hard and soft magnet. Basically, the ferromagnetic materials are broadly separated into two categories, that is the soft and hard magnet. This division is based on the value of coercivity and characterized by the hysteresis curve. This will be discussed later. The hard magnetic materials are hard to magnetize and hard to demagnetize. That means this type of material is very difficult to magnetize, but once they are magnetized, then it will be also very difficult to demagnetize this type of material. High values of both retentivity and coercivity characterize this material and make them excellent permanent magnets. That means this type of materials are basically used to create the permanent magnet because they are very high retentivity as well as coercivity. Here the former establish the high induction field needed to strongly attract the ferromagnetic materials and later prevent the magnetic effect from being influenced or even destroyed by nearby magnets or external field. That means there are two terms, one is called the retentivity and another is called the coercivity. Basically, the retentivity is used to create the strong magnetic property. That means as the retentivity is more, the material will be more prone to convert strong permanent magnet. Whereas the coercivity, if the coercivity is more, that means it will be difficult to demagnetize this material or this type of material will be less influenced by the external magnetic field. On the other hand, the soft magnetic materials are easy to magnetize and easy to demagnetize. Here, the characteristics of the soft and hard magnet are shown here, where H is called the magnetic field intensity and B is called the flux density, where B is proportional to flux and H is proportional to the current in case of electromagnet. So here this value is considered as the coercivity and this value is considered as the retensivity. That means when the current is zero, then also the material will retain their flux. So this will show the retensivity property. And the coercivity indicates how much amount of force is required to demagnetize this material. That means once the material is magnetized, so we require this amount of force to demagnetize the material. So it is the example of the hard magnet. This is the characteristics of the hard magnet. On the other hand, in case of soft magnet, we can see that the amount of retentivity is very low and its coercivity force is also very low. That means this material can be easily magnetized as well as easily demagnetized. It enables them to reverse the magnetization readily in response to alternating electrical field where they are required to concentrate the magnetic flux in transformer and inductance. The small coercivities enable high permeability, the soft magnetic material to fulfill this function with little energy losses. That means in case of soft magnet, there will be a term called the hysteresis loss. The hysteresis losses will be less in case of soft magnet, whereas for the hard magnet, the hysteresis losses will be very high. Because when you use the transformer and other electrical machines, there will be continuously change in polarity of the electrical current. So the magnetic field will also be continuously changing its polarity. Therefore, the material will be magnetized and demagnetized periodically. If we use the hard magnet to develop the transformer and other electrical machines, then there will be huge amount of losses because of this coercivity. On the other hand, if we use the soft magnet, then the material will be easily magnetized as well as easily demagnetized. So in this case, the hysteresis losses will be less. This term hysteresis loss we will discuss in the next lecture. So in addition to this hysteresis loop, high value of retentivity and also desirable to minimize the size of the soft magnetic material required. So basically, the thin hysteresis loop and high value of retentivity indicate the requirement of the material is less. If the hysteresis loop is very thin and the retentivity value is very high, then the material required to develop the transformer and other electrical machines will be less. There is another term that is called the ferrite. Ferrite is a ceramic material made by mixing and firing large proportion of iron oxide, that is Fe2O3, rust, blended with small proportion of one or more additional metallic elements such as barium, manganese, nickel, and zinc. So it is black in color, and this material is basically used to develop small transformers and small machines. They are electrically non-conductive, that means they behave like insulators, and they are ferrimagnetic, that means they can be easily magnetized or attracted to a magnet. Ferrites can be divided into two types based on their magnetic coercivity. That means the hard ferrites, they have high coercivity, so difficult to demagnetize. They are used to make the permanent magnets for applications such as refrigerator magnets, loudspeakers, and small electrical motors. On the other hand, the soft ferrite have low coercivity, so they can be easily change their magnetization and act as a conductors of magnetic field. They are basically used in electronic industries to make efficient magnetic cores called ferrite cores for high frequency inductors, transformers, and antennas, and in various microwave components also. Ferrite compounds are extremely low cost, being made of mostly rusted iron, and have excellent corrosion resistance. They are very stable and can be made with both high and low corrosive forces. That's why ferrites are most popular for development of the electrical machines and components. Thank you.